everyone. I am Prafuldeshan. Welcome back. First of all, I wish you a very happy Independence Day. Today we are going to start a new chapter. This is our second chapter and the name is the identification of the subject part and the predicate part in the sentences. This is a very simple chapter, so please watch the whole video and try to understand. As per the suggestion of one student, at some places I am going to make use of Hindi. This will definitely help you to understand in a better way. Before we begin the chapter, let's clear some things. You know that sentence is a group of words with some meaning. It has two parts. Each sentence has two parts. Number one, the subject part, and number two, the predicate part. The part of the sentence that tells us about the names of persons and things is called the subject part. Here we have nouns, pronouns and adjectives. The part of the sentence that gives information about the subject is called the predicate part. It gives us information, it tells us something about the subject, and this is called the predicate part. Here we have verbs, objects, complements, adverbials, etc. This part is also called as verb part. Okay, इसका मतलब है सेंटेंस के दो पार्ट्स होते हैं. एक है सब्जेक्ट पार्ट एंड दूसरा है प्रेडिकेट पार्ट. सब्जेक्ट पार्ट में क्या होता है? नेम्स ऑफ पर्सन्स एंड थिंग्स, मीन्स पर्सन्स एंड थिंग्स, इनके नाम दिए जाते हैं. यहाँ होते हैं नाउन्स, प्रोनाउंस और एडजेक्टिव्स. ओके, दूसरा पार्ट है प्रेडिकेट पार्ट. ये क्या करता है? गिव्स इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट द सब्जेक्ट. यह पार्ट हमें सब्जेक्ट के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन, दैट इज जानकारी देता है. ओके, इस पार्ट में क्या होता है? वर्ब्स, ऑब्जेक्ट्स, कॉम्प्लीमेंट्स, एडवर्बियल्स, ये होते हैं. ठीक है, सो डोंट फॉरगेट द टू पार्ट्स ऑफ सेंटेंस. पहला पार्ट है सब्जेक्ट पार्ट, दूसरा पार्ट है प्रेडिकेट पार्ट. सब्जेक्ट पार्ट में क्या है? नेम्स ऑफ पर्सन्स एंड थिंग्स. एंड प्रेडिकेट पार्ट में क्या है? इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट द सब्जेक्ट. यहाँ होते हैं वर्ब्स, ऑब्जेक्ट्स, कॉम्प्लीमेंट्स एक्सेट्रा. फाइन. Now let us see the types of sentences. You know that there are four types of sentences. Number one, affirmative or declarative sentences. Number two, imperative sentences. Number three, interrogative sentences. And number four, exclamatory sentences. We are going to study the identification of the subject part and the predicate part in the sentences according to their types. Here I have written some declarative and some imperative sentences. Now we have to study these sentences and identify the subject and the predicate part in them. Now let us study the sentences one by one. The first sentence is, the boy got the prize. In this sentence, the two parts are the boy and got the prize. The boy is the first part, got the prize is the second part. Now we have to identify the subject part and the predicate part in this sentence. Then what to do? What is the definition of the subject part? The part of the sentence that tells us about the names of persons and things is called the subject part. Here we have nouns, pronouns and adjectives. Now look at this first part. In this part we have two words, the and boy. Boy is the noun. So the boy is the subject here. This is the door of an action. As the boy is the subject, we can say that this is the subject part. The part of the sentence in which there is the subject is the subject part. Sentence के जिस part में subject होता है वह subject part होता है. Okay, now let us study the second part. the definition of the predicate part? The part of the sentence that gives us information about the subject is called the predicate part. This part gives us information about the boy. What did the boy get? He got the prize. Okay, so the first thing is that this part gives us information about the subject. The second thing is that here we have verb and object. Where are the verbs and object found in the sentence? They are found in the predicate part. See here, in the predicate part, we have verbs, objects, complements, adverbials, etc. Okay, so you can say that this is the predicate part. Find it. So the boy is the subject part and got the prize is the predicate part. I hope that this sentence is clear to you. Now let us study the second sentence. The beautiful girl won the crown. In this sentence we have two parts. The first part is the beautiful girl and the second part is won the crown. Okay, ये एक part है, won the crown दूसरा part है. अब हमें क्या करना है? इन दो पार्ट्स में सब्जेक्ट पार्ट कौन सा है और प्रेडिकेट पार्ट कौन सा है ये देखना है. हाउ टू आइडेंटिफाई इट? व्हाट डज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट पार्ट टेल अस? What do we understand from the definition of the subject part? In this part, we have the names of persons and things. Here we have nouns, pronouns and adjectives. इस part में nouns, pronouns and adjectives का use किया जाता है. So if you study the first part of the sentence, that is the beautiful girl, you can understand that beautiful is an adjective and girl is a noun. Both of these things, adjective and noun, are available in the first part. So here we can say that the beautiful girl is the subject. Okay, and as this is the subject, we can say that this is the subject part. Okay, so the beautiful girl is the subject part. Now let us study the remaining part of the sentence. Won the crown. One is the verb, the crown is an object. Okay, one is the verb and the crown is an object here. In the predicate part, we have verbs, objects, complements or adverbials. Here we have verb and an object. This part gives us some information about the beautiful girl. She won the crown. This information is given to us. And so, we can say that this is the predicate part. So, the beautiful girl is the subject part and won the crown is the predicate part. Find it. The third sentence is, those days are gone. In this sentence, those days is the subject part and are gone is the predicate part. Why? Because those days is the subject and are gone is the verb. We know that the predicate part is also called the verb part. In the predicate part, we have verbs, objects, complements, adverbials, etc. So first of all, identify the subject, then verb and complement, objects, whatever it is. Once you understand the subject, it is very easy to identify the predicate part. Okay? See here now. The fourth sentence is, gone are those days. Then what to do here? In these three sentences, we have seen that in the beginning, subject has occurred, subject part has occurred. But so far as this sentence is concerned, it has begun with the verb gone are. And then there is those days. Which are the two parts of this fourth sentence? Gone are and those days. Now let us compare these two sentences. Same sentence but written in a different way. एक ही sentence differently लिखा गया है. Those days is the subject here. It is written in the second part. Okay, and are gone here in the first sentence. It is in the second part. It has come here in the first part. So let the places be changed. Even though the places change, we have to identify the subject part and the predicate part in the same way as we have done. First of all, identify the subject. Okay, which is the subject in this sentence? Those days is the subject. And so you can say that this is the subject part. Okay, so those days is the subject part. Here, gone are is the predicate part. Okay, means those days are gone. Only the difference is in writing. The meaning is same. Sometimes the predicate part is placed first before the subject part for the sake of emphasis. Okay, means what? Usually the subject comes first. The subject part comes first and then comes the predicate. As here we have seen in the first three sentences. But sometimes the whole predicate part is placed before the subject part for the sake of emphasis. This does not change the meaning. Okay? So in this way, try to identify the subject part and the predicate part. Okay? Generally, the subject part comes first and then comes the predicate part. But sometimes, as we have seen in this sentence, the predicate part comes first. Don't get confused if the sentences are written in this way. Fine then. Okay. Fine then. If you have understood this, let us see the imperative sentences. You know that an imperative sentence gives a command, an advice, or makes a request. Here I have written some sentences. You can see that every sentence has begun with a verb. Means the imperative sentences begin with verb. The second thing is that subject is considered. We have to understand the subject because it is absent in the given sentences. Okay? In the imperative sentences, the subject is absent. We have to consider it. See these sentences now. Number one, shut up. This is a command. Shut up means what? You shut up. Even though the subject is not given, we have to consider it. You is the subject here, and so shut up is the predicate part. It goes in predicate part. See here, close the door. This is the command. Whenever we say close the door, we tell this to someone who is there in front of us. Okay, so you close the door. So you is the subject and close the door is the predicate part. Close is the verb. Most of the times, the predicate part begins with the verb. The part which consists of verbs, objects, complements, adverbials is called the predicate part. Okay, see the third sentence now. Wash your hands. What is this? This is an advice. You wash your hands. You is the subject here and wash your hands is the predicate part. The next sentence is keep your words. This is also a piece of advice. and keep your words is the predicate part. The next sentence is bring me a cup of tea. This is either a request or an order. If you say bring me a cup of tea to an elder person, it is the request. And if you tell the same to the servant in your house, it is the order. But still, whatever it is, this sentence is the predicate part. You bring me a cup of tea. You is the subject and bring me a cup of tea is the predicate part. The next sentence is do thee for me. Do this for me. Okay? This sentence is a request. Means we say, please do this for me. Means you do this for me. You is again the subject and do this for me is the predicate part. Sometimes I is also the subject part. If I say thank you, means what? I thank you means I is the subject and thank you is the predicate part. Fine then, I hope that you have understood this. Now I want to tell you one more important thing. Sometimes there are only two words in a sentence. होता क्या है, कभी-कभी sentence में सिर्फ दो ही words होते हैं. See here the sentence. I pray. This is a complete and meaningful sentence. I क्या है? Subject है. Pray क्या है? Verb है. I subject है तो ये हो गया subject part. Pray क्या है? Verb है. ये है predicate part. So इस सेंटेंस में एक वर्ड है सब्जेक्ट पार्ट में, एक वर्ड है प्रेडिकेट पार्ट में. On the contrary, in some sentences there are several words in the subject part as well as in the predicate part. See here, I have written one sentence. A very tall and muscular man wearing a black coat with a red cap appeared before me on the road in the last week. Now, what is the subject part? What is the predicate part? We have to identify here. Then what to do? In the same way as we have done here. First of all, find out the subject. Which is the subject in this sentence? A very tall man? No. I have underlined the sentence, half of the sentence with red pen. And this is the subject of the sentence. And so this is the subject part. I am reading here. See. A very tall and muscular man wearing a black coat with a red cap. This is the subject of the sentence. And so this is the subject part. Appeared is the verb. Okay. Appeared before me on the road in the last week is the predicate part. So, first of all, identify the subject. And you can easily identify the predicate then. The part of the sentence in which there is the subject, it is the subject part. The part of the sentence which gives you information about the subject is the predicate part. In this predicate part, we have verbs, objects, complements, adverbials, etc. Okay, so I hope that you have understood this. Today we studied only the subject and predicate part in the declarative and imperative sentences. We will study the identification of the subject and predicate part in the exclamatory and interrogative sentences in the next lecture. I hope that all these things which I have explained here are clear to you.